Okay, we're going to call to order the Town Lloyd Workshop agenda, meeting for September 7th, 2022. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. So for our agenda tonight, we're going to kind of skip ahead just a little bit before you have the reports. We're going to go straight to the old business section with the streetscape, because we have Barton LaJudas here, and I know they traveled here, and I'd like to get them on and off up at the beginning of the meeting. So just to refresh everybody's memory, the streetscape project started a few years ago. We do have a grant for it. I believe the grant's in the area of $780,000. They've been working on it for some time. They have to finalize the design and get ready to go out to bid either the end of the year, beginning of next year. So what we wanted to do was give everybody an update on it. And I'm going to turn it over to Peter Cristiano from Barton LaJudas to take you through his presentation. So hold on a minute, Peter. He'll get you a microphone.
Only you.
All right, how's that? Thank you, Supervisor. This is kind of a rehash of a presentation that was done in October 2020. So we pulled out a few slides. We've updated some since then based on what's changed and what's new. So this is PIN 8762.55. It's a locally administered federal aid project. It's the Highland Hamlet Pedestrian Improvement. So just to get started, quick agenda. I'll run through these things pretty quick. We won't have to go into too big of a detail on that. The team has changed a little bit, obviously, because of a new supervisor. Dave Barton is still here as kind of our project manager, and along with Wendy and Margaret. Our contact at DOT has changed, so we're now dealing with Michael. The consultant team has stayed the same. As of right now, a few months back, we added right-of-way, and that has been changed, so they're taken off at the moment. So right here, this is a project overview map. We are still keeping in the sidewalk along Elting Place, the improvements at the intersection of Vineyard and Main Street, and then a sidewalk along Vineyard between Church Street and Milton. In addition, we have some sidewalk tie-ins along Milton that we're going to do. Previous to this, there was going to be sidewalk along Commercial Ave and Commercial Ave Extension, and then also along Church Street. As part of our detailed right-of-way boundary research, it found that there was going to be right-of-way impacts, and the time that it would take to do that was undesirable, and I think the town wanted to kind of pull those sections out and possibly do them on your own as part of another project later on to allow this project to continue forward. So those areas
and Peter, if we left those in, not only would it be another year or whatever it was, I think it would have exceeded the cost of the grant with the recent uptick in costs of everything. So.
Yeah, that is true. And then also, I think there was a developer that had monies for the Commercial Ave extension part, and that fell through for whatever reason. So that was another reason. But so moving on, basically our objectives are to improve the safety, the sidewalk conditions in this particular area. There may be ADA compliance issues, so we're going to take care of those with this project. There's also going to be improved signage and wayfinding to the rail trail, parking as well in the hamlet here. So as Dave mentioned before, the funding, so the total funding was $841,000, and that was an 80-20% breakdown. So federal would be 80%. The the town would be on the hook for the remaining 20. It is capped, so like Dave said, anything over that amount would be the responsibility of the town. So that was another reason to rescope the project, to keep it within the funded amount that is shown here. So we've got about $587,000 for construction, which will be, we will be able to do that based on what we've pulled out and what is still in there. So our costs with that include construction, inspection, and the design. So I have shown here, the design was $182,000. That included our design for B&L, preliminary and detailed, along with the detailed ground survey and right-of-way boundary research, and then also our sub W Design, who's doing the wayfinding signage. Continuing on our schedule, so like I said before, our initial public meeting was October 2020, if you can believe it was quite a while ago. This is our update meeting right here tonight to kind of give everyone an idea where we're at. Our plan is to finish the design report within the next couple weeks, get design approval. So basically the DOT and the FHWA will give us the go-ahead to move on to the next phase. And that includes putting the contract documents together. So we plan to wrap those up early spring and be approved to go out to bid, publicly advertise the project for contractors to pick up plans, and then letting will be the bid opening. So that'll be April of this year. We'll award the project within 45 days from that point, and then have the contractor, whoever that may be, kind of hit the ground running in the spring or early summer, and then finish up in late summer / early fall. So our preferred alternatives, we had more in here as part of the initial public meeting, but we've narrowed it down, and it's basically 5-foot wide sidewalks, ADA compliant curb ramps, new curb where it's needed, signage for pedestrians, and then also the wayfinding signage as well. That was will be a big component to help direct people from the rail trail into the hamlet, and then vice versa, and also direct them where parking may be. As I'm sure everyone knows here, the conditions out there are, maybe no sidewalk, very limited sidewalk, maybe it's narrow. Sidewalks or striping may be limited, or I should say pavement striping is limited, same with signage. One thing that was noted as part of our preliminary design, there's multiple signage systems out there, which maybe is confusing to certain people, or you can't tell where you need to go. So that will be taken care of as part of this project. A couple more slides of just existing conditions. And this particular slide shows, maybe some trees that died and were just cut. We'll take those out, put in new vegetation where we can. Anything new, we'll make sure is not going to grow up into power lines. There's also, the town is looking at installing utilities underground. We're going to make sure that wherever those areas are, they're not going to overlap with what we do here, so that way it's not a waste of time, a waste of materials. So that way there's going to be no overlap. So just another reiteration of what our proposed section is: 5-foot wide sidewalk, new curb, any pavement that we need to rehabilitate as part of that curb installation we'll do with this project. Everything's going to stay within the highway boundary, so there's going to be no impacts to private. If for some reason we do need to adjust for a driveway or whatever, we can get potential grading release from the homeowner, but we don't anticipate any of that right now. This is basically a reiteration of the previous slide. At one point, we talked about types of trees, but that'll be hashed out further during detailed design. This was a holdover from the previous presentation. I'm not too familiar with the honey locust, but
Well,
As-
I know right now we're cutting trees down because they got too big.
yeah, and so whatever we do put in, like we said, is not going to be growing up into the sides of buildings or into the power lines, so we can avoid the need to cut them down again. So moving on, so this area, we had talked about last month, potential with the bump outs. I know this area wasn't set in stone yet. So I have two examples here. One with the bump out on the left-hand side of the screen. I know there's some a fountain in that area right now. There's potential discussion on maybe relocating that. The bump out was also discussed that it
Yeah, and I
kind of
think that's
segments
where,
the town.
and I
so-
think that's where we're gonna be looking for input from the board. And I guess, Peter, what we need to know is kind of what's the last ditch date when we can make that decision? Is it next month? Is it October? When you start the detailed design, or?
It would be, yeah. I
Okay,
mean, we like to have everything set for the final design report, so that way it goes into the DOT. You have
Okay.
a very good idea of what your costs are gonna be. In
So-
this particular case, I think we have a little wiggle room with that, so
Okay.
if we don't get the final say, in October, we should be able to, extend that out, but we want to incorporate anything that we do into the final design, obviously.
yeah, and do you know, off the top of your head, I'm not sure how long that space is, but how many parking spaces would we gain if we took that bump out away?
I don't know that offhand, but I can
Okay.
find that out.
I was thinking it was 4, but I could be wrong.
I think my predecessor drew the cars to scale on there. So I would say at least 4.
Okay.
Typically, central spaces are 22 feet in length.
Right.
And anything on the ends
Okay.
is 20, so I would say at least 4, based on the little figure on the right-hand side of the,
Okay.
you can kind of see the white car or
Yep.
the black car.
The traffic flow would go the same way?
The traffic would still stay the same, yeah.
You're planning, okay.
Yeah, I don't think we've changed any of the traffic flow, Mike, that I know of.
I'm just asking.
But, no, it's a good question. Right? Because we could, I guess.
Let me back up. With the option on the left, I mean, you're gonna get you're still gonna have your stop signs. You'll have speed calming due to the bump outs, so that'll help with pedestrians or shorter crosswalks.
If we take out the bump, okay, the problem in the center of the village is crossing the street. It's so wide there. It's so wide, from one side of the street to the other side of the street. And I remember when they put the bump in, that was to reduce that walk
Yep.
across, that delay.
So, Mike. Talking about if you don't use the crosswalks, right? You're talking about, I know where you're talking about from like number 2 to number 4 there, right?
The bump, number 2 to number 4, yes. Yeah, because that was a big area to cross.
All right, go ahead, Peter.
Okay. So the wayfinding signage, we still have W Design on our team. The town colors were green. I think we had presented a few other colors at the previous meetings, and there was a little confusion on that. So the green is what we would go with, and this will direct pedestrians and bicyclists and motorists to various locations. So these are just a few snapshots of potential layouts of the signage, and I'm going to defer to them when we get to that point in the design on exactly what's going to be included, and we'll have to circle back to this with them during that stage of final design.
Okay.
Just another few examples of closer views of the potential signs. So directions to the trail, parking. Let's see. That's about it. I have comment sheets here for anyone in the public that wants to write something down and submit it. We'll certainly accept comments.
Well, we should
And,
probably, and Charles, maybe we can coordinate something through you, getting some of these sheets out, okay, to maybe you and Russ through the HBA. Okay.
I'd just like to say one more thing about that bump out. I remember when they did it, I was at a meeting, and one of the reasons they put the bump in there was to reduce the crossing footage, but also you would be pointing towards the town parking lot. Like it gave, like if anybody that was new in the village didn't know where to park, they'd be able to see it. So if we eliminate that, maybe we could do something to dress up that driveway to the parking lot, so it'd be visible and people be able to see it.
Okay.
'Cause otherwise, I don't think you would know because it's so far back. Yeah, the trees.
Yeah, Mark?
Could you give us an update on that grant you were talking about burying the wires?
Yeah, there's no update. We put it in, we won't hear till the beginning of next year.
I thought it was in November.
Yeah, I think the latest thing we got, and you may know more, Peter, but I saw something before Ted retired that said we wouldn't hear back until at least January. I don't know if it was, I think that was the Homeland Security grant, and they moved their time frame out. So I guess the state's allowed to do that, we're not. Yeah. Yeah,
I know that nobody likes to talk about this, but what is our plan for existing water services for boxes?
you guys looked at that as part of your design, you should have, right?
We will during final design. If they're just adjusting the boxes to the new curb or the pavement that's adjusted, we would incorporate that in our contract. If for some reason we think that there needs to be an adjustment to the service, then we would start coordinating with you now. But as far as I know, my notes from Ted, there weren't going to be impacts to those, but we'll take another look at that to be sure.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Mike, Lenny? Your mic's off, by the way.
No.
Okay. Okay, so Peter, we'll be in touch. We will see if we can get you some feedback. There are a few people here from the HBA, from the Business Association, and have offices downtown. That's why I invited them. Hopefully, we'll get you a little more feedback. And then I think us as a board, the five of us with Joe and John back, John and Mike back, will discuss the bump. I think the main thing for us to discuss is that bump out, and what we do there, what's better, what's not better. And I'd like to hear also from the Business Association on that also.
Right, exactly. All of them, everybody that has a business downtown needs to have a
Chime
little
in on
input
that,
with
right.
that.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Peter.
Safe trip home.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the reports, and we will start off, well, we have on the agenda, we have assessors, but again, this time of year, nothing much goes on other than answering questions in the assessor office and preparing for next year. We started kicking off budget season. I know, Margaret, you sent out all the budget sheets, so.
All the budget sheets were sent out on August 31st, and we have a department head meeting on September 14th, and all the budgets are to be back to me by September 20th.
So
Is that
we'll,
your microphone?
so we'll move on to Building and Zoning Department with Dave Barton. I don't know if that's on, Dave. Okay.
Thank you. So as I reported last month, at the end of last month, we went live with Municity. It's our parcel tracking software. It's a much more robust system than we had previously. It's accessible anywhere with an internet connection. Part of our goal, besides the fact that we had to upgrade because the old system was about to be no longer serviced, is that in 2021, the state put out a feeler to the municipality. The clerk and I have had the conversation that the state wanted us to kind of have a plan in place in case there was some other health emergency where people would have to work remotely. This was part of that goal, is that now we can truly work remotely. My 2 field inspectors have tablets. They can go in the field and do inspections right from the tablets, take photos, file complaints. It's instant updates, so if they're in the field and they call me and say, can you look at this? I can go right on the computer, take a look at it and say, yep, this section of the code is the violation, trigger the violation, complaint, and then we can follow up from there. So there's a little learning curve, but the office is adjusting pretty quickly. Pretty smart people. We have 1 fire call in the Clintondale Fire District. It was an apartment complex there. Some debris outside caught on fire, we think, as a result of oily rags. I'd like to thank, just today, I know my report's for last month, but just today, the police department assisted Anthony and I with a safety check of a building right across the street, the nursing home. There was some doors open, some windows done. The chief came down, 3 of his officers, including the sergeant. They went through the building to confirm that nobody was squatting or living there. The building's in worse shape than it was previously. So we're going to pursue that pretty aggressively tomorrow. And on your agenda tonight, last month I sent out the 3 letters to properties that required significant cleanup. 69 North Road, 9 Commercial Avenue, and the Old Mariners. I know it's on your agenda. We can talk about it when we get to that point if you'd like. But I sent a letter out saying the time has come. I know that this board was interested in deciding, I hope, if they didn't clean up the properties, that the town would act to do so, and then assess the property owner the cost of that cleanup, and if they didn't pay, it would be put on their property taxes. There has been some movement this last week as a result of those letters. Not nearly enough, but there is movement, so we can talk about that when we get there.
Okay.
Good. That's all I got.
How about the house on Vineyard Avenue? What's going on with that?
The one that is condemned up here, though, yeah, so that was interesting. Again, the police department helped us with that. We went there, as a result, we were checking to see if there was anybody in the house because it's in pretty bad shape. So we went there. I did placard the building as an unsafe structure. The gentleman who was living there wasn't living in the building, was living there in his car. We remedied that. We contacted his sister, with your assistance, actually, Mike. We got them together, and he's not living in the car anymore or the house. And they're going to try and sell the house. I've actually talked to one developer already, a local guy, who does some of these types of things. He agrees that it's a demolition, that he would come and demolish the house and then rebuild in its footprint. Yeah.
Okay,
Good. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, moving forward, you have Andrew's report on dog control. Not a lot of activity, a couple complaints. Please close that, and we'll move forward to Highway with Mr. Klotz.
Hello, Mr. Klotz.
Well, we're getting back to somewhat normal. I'm starting to get some help back. We've been averaging 4 to 5 guys a day out. So you don't get much done with that.
I've seen the board up there, 3 people, and you have 10 people working for you.
Right now,
vacation.
we're out cleaning up. I got some swale work to do, starting probably Friday. I get some people back. I gotta pave tomorrow and Friday too, so.
Good.
For Esopus this week. I've got, Dave, I already got one quote so far back for the electric on the
Okay.
salt shed. And I just went over it with Dave. And there's some questions
Okay.
we gotta do, but that's the only, I only got one back. So, but I gotta get that going. But the thing with that too is, we got the line in. So all the conduits.
Oh, the line's in,
Yeah,
okay, good.
we did that, so this way it'll cut this bill way down.
And where's the swell work this week?
I gotta do up on North Road. I got one to do on Felson. And there's one on way up North Road, upper North Road.
Okay.
And we'll get that going. So, ready?
Okay, any questions for Rich?
None by me.
Somebody else?
None by me.
Who's your help?
Okay, we'll move forward. Historian, you see Jones.
Thank you.
Jones' report. She gets a lot of requests, as you can see in her report here. I won't go through them all, but she gets a lot of requests, gets some donations. We'll move forward to Chief Janso and the town police.
Good afternoon. Our monthly activity report for August, calls for service were 863. We had 36 accidents, 8 personal injury, unfortunately one was a fatal, 28 property damage auto accidents. Department issued 43 tickets, 15 arrests. We continued our foot patrols in the village. Schools were no foot patrols due to being closed. Some of the activities we did over the month, August 2nd, the department delivered vegetables to our Project Care members. Thank you to Indian Ridge for the generosity, letting us go up there and pick the fruit. 23rd, the Ulster County Veterans Service Agency held their monthly Veterans Luncheon at the Highland Landing Park. It was sponsored by the Townwide PBA, and it was a great way to honor our veterans. Officer Chris Miller was awarded the Veteran of the Month by the Veterans Association and by New York State Senator Hinchy, so congratulations, Officer Miller. 25th, we attended the Supervisor Senior Breakfast at the Bob Shepherd Landing. And some of the training we took place this month is we changed our tasers. We upgraded our tasers, which were 20 years old, to new, modern, more safety-efficient tasers. It was a $12,000 upgrade, so everybody was trained on those. Officer Scott, who is now our new SRO officer, graduated National Association of School Resource Officer School for a week, and he's already in the schools making his rounds, and he'll be there for the season, for the semesters. And we had 1 Narcan use and 1 revived. And it was seven so far this year. 3 fatalities, unfortunately. Any questions?
Any questions for Chief?
Thank you very much for
Thanks, sir.
sponsoring the Veterans Breakfast and everything you guys do.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Chief,
Could you give an update on the SRO plan with the schools and how that's going?
It's in place. He'll be there 3 days a week. That'll be worked out, the days he'll be there between our department and the school. He'll be there all day. And as we proceed through the season, we'll see if we can revamp it, add to it. It's a work in progress.
Is the goal like 5 days a week?
The goal for the school district, they want to have 1 in every school. But that's going to have to be over numerous years. You can't put 3 full-time officers in the school district. The burden on the taxpayers for the police department, the town, and the school district is really, really high with that. So it's going to be a work in progress with it.
Presently, what do you think the cost is, give or take?
I couldn't even speculate, because you're talking about salaries, benefits, vehicles, equipment, so you're adding guys just for that detail out there. You're looking at, without even knowing the figures offhand, $200,000,
Okay.
possibly.
I'll follow up with you.
Yeah, I'll have more numbers when I can look at it, but that's the goal. We've only had 1 full-timer ever out in the school district. The school district wants to have 1 in every school, which is great. My plan was to start the foundation of the SRO program with a part-timer to get it back and running after 10 years, and finally got it through. So it's going to take some talking and some planning to have that full-time program with 3 officers. It's going to take a couple years. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be next year. You could put one next year maybe, followed by another one, and then another one as it goes.
And we do have a resolution later to approve that SRO agreement between us and the school district.
Correct.
So that's on tonight's agenda. Thanks, Chief. Okay, move forward, recreations and grounds. Frank?
Hello. So with parks, Tony Williams Park, youth football's been using it, and they open up this Sunday. We lined the field today for them. The adult baseball league, that finished up this past Sunday, but there are some teams gonna be practicing as well, as long as the weather lets them, for softball and baseball. Berry Ann Park closed for swimming this past Monday. There are events still booked there right up until the beginning of October on the weekend, so I'll make sure that the bathrooms are left open, for the day. And, people are still using the park and the trails. The town field, the school district will be using that for soccer, for games only, probably like 6 dates. So we're gonna get that field lined. The school district will line it, but, we'll get the goals up for that. Summer fun, I'll give you the numbers at budget time. I'll have the numbers, what our expenditures were and the revenues and things like that. Youth soccer, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, the recreation department is doing a youth soccer 1 night a week at the high school. It should be starting this coming Monday. It's for kids that are kindergarten to 5th grade. And what this group of parents are looking to do is looking to, start Honda United Soccer Club up again, and hopefully it'll happen. I know that pre-registered, they have like 50, 60 kids. Let's see where I'm at. The adult basketball and over 35 basketball, that'll start up in mid-October. I just need to write up the dates and everything, and give it to Mr. Miller at the school for approvals, as well as wrestling camp and youth basketball. I know it's down the road, but, we're in September, and these things will start in October, November. Tony Williams Park, the lighting update. I know we had a get-together with that. I did speak to the gentleman today. He did email me later this afternoon. I did not look at the email, but, I asked him for pricing of the whole field, and I asked him pricing just for the 3 lights. I can tell you this, to light the whole field for material, was over 300,000.
Yeah.
To light for the 3 poles, was about 115,000. And that's
Wow.
just material. Because he estimated 8 poles for the whole field.
Right.
But I can get that to you tomorrow, Dave, with,
Okay,
I'll forward it to you, and then that can be discussed later on.
okay.
Town field with pavilion update, I really don't know, other than,
Yeah, we have an update next week from Sean Williams. So
Okay.
we'll see his plan and then decide how to go forward. What we did know about that was we had to shift the foul line, so.
right,
Yeah.
right. Buildings and grounds, they've been keeping up and taking care of some things. Obviously, the last couple of weeks, no one's really been mowing. They did paint Tony Williams Park concession stand and pavilion, and we're looking to go up to Berry Ann and get the 2 buildings up there in the pavilion painted this fall. Also here at the town hall last week, we had a plumber come in and took care of, basically cleaned all the drains and everything, and there were some issues where the pipe out here came together. There were some roots, they took care of that, and then the run going down, one of the pipes shifted a little bit. He doesn't see it being a problem right now, but it could be a problem down the road. And the last thing I have is, I know most of these have a copy, but I'll just give it to you again.
Thank you.
This is that proposal
Thank you.
for the Berry Ann Park. I know, Sean, you reviewed it. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to discuss anything with it, or,
Yeah, I think, I like the town board. I think the thing that we wanted to talk about first was a contract for the, I mean, he has a lot of stuff on here, but I mainly wanted to focus on the last page with a contract for the concession stand. If, and the one thing that Sean and I talked about is, if we do something like that, we'd rather do something starting off with a much shorter term than 5 years, right? Because you don't know what you'll get into in 5 years, if it works or not. So what we talked about, I think Sean and I talked about 2 years, and then I said, well, maybe we do a year and then have an option to renew it based on how well it goes. So that's, I don't know if he'll be willing to do that, but
Yep, I can talk to him. I
you
know
should
we
talk to him about that.
talked a little bit about it yesterday, but I can talk to him tomorrow and take it from there. I mean,
Yeah, and the other things on here, I think the board, I'm not sure if everybody saw this yet, but I think we need to give the board a little bit of time to look at that. I've talked to the events committee also to sync up, and they seem to have done that. I think the big thing was the contract. And let's get
Right.
that away, because he's
Right.
got to get his Board of Health approval,
Mhm.
and he's got to get his liability insurance in place.
Right.
For that.
which he says he can do.
Okay.
And then, once that happens, then I think the best step, the next step would be to have, get him in contact with the events committee, myself and him, and then we can work on that list
Right.
of, things to do.
That'd be great. I don't know if Mike or Lenny have any thoughts on
No,
contract
no,
or
like,
anything else.
we went over it, and
Short-term contract is good, as long as he's willing to, you know.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an investment as far as equipment and,
Right.
you know, housing, and he's just got to come up with rent.
Right, I think the good thing about it that I've seen this year is it gave us a presence up there where, you had somebody there for a good part of the day.
Somebody that's willing to work it, you
Somebody
know.
willing to work it, and somebody that's just there to kind of see what's going on up there. And, so I think that was the good part. And, this way, if we can get a short-term contract and option, we already have next year covered, I think that's helpful. So we might want to talk more about, collecting our fees and how we do that and go
Right.
forward with it.
Okay,
Okay?
I think
Any other
I think
comments,
it's a
John?
great idea.
oh my God, she beat me to it.
all right.
Blue.
Blue? No, yellow. Some people email me they wanted blue, but it would probably, it's gonna be yellow.
Okay.
I will take care of it.
I've been under extreme amount of pressure with that. And the fence by the basketball court. The kids are throwing their body against it, and it's
Yeah,
pulled
one-
off on the bottom,
On the bottom, I pushed it back and
Okay.
it needs to be,
tied back up.
wired back up.
All right. So how do we settle on blue or yellow?
It'll be yellow. All right?
You
I-
win. It's okay.
I will take care of it.
Thank you, sir.
I don't
I
think
think
that
it's-
we should do it or the highway. It was done professionally. I
Yes.
get professionals to do it.
Yes.
Basically, they have to come and do it.
And I think the
And-
standard is yellow,
Um,
correct?
Yeah.
The standard's yellow, so we got to go with the standard.
And I'm sure there's some sort of a temperature thing, so they'd have to do it before too long.
Right. Okay.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
Nothing here.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
As far as the contract goes, I see the rent proposal. What about the equipment inside the park? I mean, like the refrigeration, the gas, who's going to be responsible for repairs and stuff like that?
Well, you have to flesh that out. I don't know, historically, what you've done with it.
Yeah. I think everything in there belongs to him.
Not everything, no.
Not
The-
everything.
The stove that was ours, which was a basic electric stove, that's stored, he
Correct.
hasn't used that. There's a refrigerator and a small freezer that would be the town's. Everything else is his.
So we got to call that out in the contract, though. Is
I thought-
what you're saying, yeah. Okay.
I thought all of it was ours. I
No,
didn't-
no. No, we took a lot of
I
stuff
know.
out, Mike. Okay,
All right?
thanks,
Thank you.
Frank.
Thank you.
Okay, Town Clerk Wendy.
I think I mentioned we got a check scanner for doing water bills, so we don't have to handwrite all the deposit slips. This is our first month ending that. A little more work on the bookkeeping end, but much quicker for the clerks to get the deposits done. Just answering questions on school taxes, which that's not us. But other than that, it's been just a quiet month getting ready to go into our tax season.
Okay, thank you. As far as supervisors stuff, there are, and you'll see on the agenda tonight, there are 2 new grants we're putting in for, both focused on water. One is the one we're putting in for the water tank that we've been working on, that we can fund ourselves if we have to, but our intent is to get 2 grants for it that will cover 85, 90% of the cost. So we're putting them in this week. They have to go in by the 9th. And then we've been talking pretty much all year about refabbing the old water plant and the 3 big filters up there. And Adam and I have been meeting with Bernier and Larios, and we've been meeting with, they tried a bunch of stuff the last few years. It just wasn't successful, the microfiltration. So we have to rehab the 3 tanks up there. We have to make them more efficient. We have to lower our cost of producing water as we move forward. So we're actually putting in a grant for that, which we project to take 3 to 5 years to do the work, because you got to take 1 tank off at a time. You have to source the parts. You have to get the engineering, the labor, and everything done. And we've projected that as a 3 to 5 year project costing over $8 million. So we're putting in for a $5 million grant for that. Now you'll see a resolution on tonight's agenda that shows we're putting in that grant, and, we would have to cover 40% of it unless we get another grant. We have time to work on that. So right now, I'd say we'd have to bond the 40% and get the grant for the 60% unless we find other grants along the way. That's why with a 3 to 5 year time frame, it gives us time to do that. But, we can make those decisions if we're awarded the grant. For now, we know what we have to do, and now it's a matter of finding the funding to do it. So you'll see that tonight. So that's kind of what I've been focused on here. And thinking about water, Adam, you're up next.
Good afternoon. Adam Littman, Administrator for Town of Lloyd Water and Sewer. Yes, there's definitely been a lot of work going towards the grants. The 3 to 5 year project actually gives us the opportunity, like you had mentioned. And I think at that point, we'll have our ducks in a row, and there won't be so much involved in getting information.
And just to make a point, I think a lot of the water and sewer infrastructure has kind of been ignored for a good 10, 15 years. You and I were figuring out today, right?
Oh, and it's not just us.
Yeah.
That's a thing that happens.
Right.
Statewide and pretty much throughout the country. Yes, we have a responsibility, and someday we'd like to see it all
Right.
new and heading in the right direction. So let me provide you with the actually supposed to be the August progress report. I see they changed the heading. Sorry about that. Okay, so river water is making up 90% of daily production. The remaining 10% still comes from the wells. Well production time is kind of varying. The groundwater is a lot less at this time of the year. Our production time at the water plant is varying between 11 and 12 hours per day. I had touched base on over the last couple of months. I'm still attempting to find a new waste hauler. The water plant still needs the backwash tank cleaned out. I've had no success in making contact with them and getting them there. The current waste hauler we have, which is the one I'm referring to, is now also charging us a fuel recovery fee. We use them for sewer pump stations. That has caused a significant increase in the cleanouts of those stations. Road crew, they've been busy with utility markouts. There's always a huge influx at this time of the year. People are trying to get projects done before the change of the season. They also worked with the highway department to repair the roads. We had a multitude of water main breaks over the past few years. This caused quite a bit of damage to the roads. Sewer plant, daily operations continue as usual. I always mention that the cleaning and maintenance increases at this time of the year. Good news, bad news. Ruth Sicardo started at the 1st of August. She has now resigned, so I am short another employee. Sorry to say that. Peak Power, something else I had spoken about. So Peak Power is the generator company that we have contracts with that maintain, repair our generators. They run some of our facilities. They run all of our sewer pump stations and our water pump stations. Peak Power was on site at the wastewater plant last month to evaluate the failed transfer switch on the generator down there. The technician had also found an oil leak on the engine. He had believed at the time it was coming from a cracked cylinder head. An update to that, He has returned the main board and the transfer switch has been replaced. It's now working properly. He's also made another determination. At the time, he found that head bolts on the cylinders, on the cylinder heads had stretched and become loose. He had tightened up the ones he could reach. There is a recommendation to replace the head gasket on that cylinder head. The price comes in around $4,000 for that estimate.
And how imminent is that?
We are able to run the generator. We are keeping an eye to see if it's reduced the amount of oil leakage.
Okay,
I still can't tell.
Okay.
I think it has a little bit, but not significantly.
okay.
It is a job that we should seek to get done.
All right.
Any questions?
Any questions for Adam? And there's also a discussion Adam and I had today. There was 2 weeks in a row where we had a pipe break in almost the same location on Christopher Avenue, down by Christopher and Maple. And when you looked at the condition of the pipe, it's not good. So,
It's not good.
we want to start looking at these areas that I'll call prevalent areas, whether it's water or sewer, where we have to start, just like we're doing with the water plan, thinking about more of a longer range plan of which ones we should replace first, what's that going to cost, and start put together kind of a plan of here's the way we ought to attack these things, and and make sense of it, because maybe we could say, okay, we do this road, we do the whole road, and then it makes it easier for Rich to pave when he's got the whole road or something like that. So we just have to develop that plan. I think it's past due, and, I hate to keep seeing holes being dug to fix water mains that we know are 50 or 60 years old,
Yeah,
and cast iron.
right. And pretty much like you're saying, I've had some experience in this now. I've been doing administration for about 12 years. There definitely are some areas of concern that I have. Some of them might be easier, for us to accomplish on our own. But there are definitely things that we need to talk about.
Right.
Because there's definitely some problematic areas in the town that is based around water and sewer.
Oh,
So-
yep.
That backwash tank, how full is it right now? That you have to have it cleaned out and you can't?
Backwash tank.
Yeah, that's what you have here. They said the water plant
Oh.
still needs to have the backwash backwash tank cleaned out.
Backwash tank, right.
Full?
It's full.
Yes. I don't want to mention the company's name, but I've been pursuing them because originally we wanted to get a 6,500-gallon tanker there. We were going to dewater the tank and have them remove at least 3/4 of the area so my guys could get in there, inject a line from the direction coming in to the sub-level area. This has been going on for quite some time. There is not a lot of waste haulers. So,
What are other towns doing?
I don't have the proper answer for that.
It's a good suggestion, though. Find out what they're doing. They may have a,
The water plant sludge is always something we've handled in-house. That's what the backwash tank is for. So when you backwash or do any of that work in the water plant, all that sediment goes into that tank, we mix it, and then we run it through centrifuge. So we've been pursuing the company to try and get them in-house to say, can you pump these tanks? What is it gonna take? Usually this type of situation is handled in-house. Most places handle their own sludges. So in the past, they've been a very reputable company. But in the last couple of months, it's really changed because I've been calling nearly on a weekly basis to discuss, these fuel recovery charges. And if you've been signing the invoices, you can see that those bills used to be $250, they're now $1,200.
First of all, I want to apologize for being late. We're getting ready to open, so my hours are different. And Adam, are we under contract with them, or?
No.
So I think, Mike, it's a good idea. Maybe we should find out who other towns use and maybe get a different company.
I mean, maybe there's a shared service with other towns we can do.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right, let me know how you make out
Thanks,
with it.
Adam.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move forward to old business. We've already seen the streetscape update. We put that on first, Joe, because it was billable hours, guys.
That's fine.
To get that rid of. We're gonna move on to old business. Dave Barton, let's talk about what we've done. And we've been we get complaints, and Dave gets some get called into my office, and we've been trying to work to, when we get these property maintenance complaints, to clean them up, and I'll say for the most part, we've been successful. People will clean up their property or do something. There have been a few that have just been agonizing trying to get fixed, some for a year, some for 6, 8 months. So we've decided to take a little more action on these 3, and I'll let Dave describe what he's done and where we're at with it.
Sure, thank you. Dave, Supervisor Plavchik and I had a conversation earlier this year about sort of the long-standing problem children. You know, there's a section of the code with the town board, and you did this last year, the board did, with 9 Commercial Avenue. There was an unsafe structure there, and the board demanded that it be removed, or the board would do so. He did take it down, but the site remains messy, to say the least. He actually called me just a little bit ago, maybe a little terrified that there was a meeting tonight that you guys were going to talk about it, and he wasn't going to be able to come. So he called me to let me know what his plan was. Evidently, the trailer's moved, some pallets have been picked up, and so all the garbage is gone. So I'm wildly inaccurate. I would recommend that, I told him that the board might act on the 21st to demand that you do so. You know, that's the deadline, so to speak. Now it's up to you guys. You guys could set your own deadline as to when you would resolve to act, to hire someone to clean up these sites. Again, the cleaning action, you know, the cost of that is invoiced to them, and they have to pay it, or we assess their taxes. That's a town board resolution. You can do so to protect the health, safety, and welfare. So that's on number 9, Commercial. And I would recommend you do that for the 21st. That's the date that I told him. And if he doesn't get it done, too bad. 69 North Road has been a problem for years and years and years. We are close to the end, I think. I actually got some photos recently. The property owners, one is in a nursing home, the other is, what's the term, non-compos mentis, not fully able to use her faculties. So the children are now in charge. It took the son, I have the photos from him, a little while to get power of attorney, and then via power of attorney to get titles to some of the vehicles that are on site. The vehicles are still there, but he does have so in order to get rid of a vehicle, so that people don't think it's stolen, when you bring it to the scrapyard, you need documentation that you own it. So he has those now. I have photos. The site is much cleaner. The front of the house has been weed whacked, and the weeds are removed. Garbage has been removed from the rear of the building, so there's progress on that. The last one you all have been anxiously waiting for is the old Mariners site. I had a phone call on last Saturday, and then I spoke to the contractor again on Tuesday this week, right? Yeah, the first day we came back. They are working on a contractor and the property owner to remediate the site. This is a person who has experience with this type of cleanup. He has to submit a plan to Department of Labor and Department of Health, just in case there's any lead or asbestos in the cleanup. We don't think there is, but he has to submit it anyway. So he'll submit it. There's a 10-day waiting period. Again, this is all based on the fact that he might hopefully sign a contract with the property owner to get this work done. I do not have a contract to show you or a schedule yet. So again, I would say at the board's discretion, set a date for the final date that you would accept at least a contract and a schedule for cleanup, showing that there's good faith movement on it. And then past that date, you guys can re-review to make a determination as to what you want to do.
I'll ask the rest of the board. I mean, my take would be, we know on this one, it takes 10 days to get the stuff from the Department of Labor. So I would like to, my recommendation to the rest of the board would be, by the workshop meeting in October, we should make a decision if they're not done, whether or not we want to go forward and clean them up and then charge the property owner for it.
And that's all, on all 3 or just the one?
What's that?
On all 3?
If we're gonna give it to one, I'd say we make the same date for all three, Joe. That would be my take. I mean, the one's been outstanding, the one here on
Well-
9 Commercial for a long time. There should be no excuse on that one.
I agree.
And
You know,
Dave-
He told me today that he was going to rush to get it done, and I
It's
said,
not
well, I've
done.
heard that before, so that's why.
So, I mean, I'm okay with bringing that one back on the 21st, which is 2 weeks from today if we want.
Dave, and thanks for your hard work, and I know that this is really trying to make our town look better. So 69 and 9 are residential, and Mariners, we know, is commercial, correct?
Correct.
But you said 69 North Road's working with you?
Yep, and 9 is also a commercial property as well. But yeah, 69, more progress than I've seen in the 10 years we've been chasing them round and round. We've actually had them in court a few times, and, you know, so.
But now the children are in charge, that weren't before.
The children are in charge, yeah, and they have been much more responsive.
Yeah, and I think he just got power of attorney.
Just got power of attorney.
So I wouldn't want to really, if he's working with, and 9, maybe I misunderstood, they weren't working with you and now they are?
Yeah, this is the guy in the old roofing company over here on the corner, across from Matt Smith's property.
The one where we
Took the wall down, yeah, remember that? So if you look at the back of that yard, it's a mess. I mean, there's weeds overgrown, there's vehicles in there, so.
Dave, I'm going to agree with you, and Dave Barton, I know you've worked really hard on this. He's been in front of us a lot of
Yeah,
times, so
many times.
I wouldn't mind at the next workshop meeting if he's not.
Yeah,
take
I think
action.
10-5 for all three of them. We checkpoint on them. And I think we need to let the properties owners know,
So
like for Mariners, I would like to see a contract and a schedule,
By when?
like by the next
the workshop?
workshops, 10-5.
So I've let them all know that tomorrow, after whatever you guys decide tonight, if it is the workshop day, I will let them all know that by 10, whatever is 1.
10-5, I think, is the
10-5,
workshop date.
that they need to have it in hand. I'll let the Mariners person know that contract and schedule, the other two must be more substantially complete.
Dave,
Or be cleaned up.
Right.
Well, yeah, I think what you really want from this 9 Commercials, I want to see the plan of when he's going to be finished cleaning it up. That's what I want to see.
well,
He
60,
can't do that. It's,
I agree with you guys on the latter too, but the 69, Dave, you said he's working with you, their kids now
Yeah.
have the, do we need to give him more time, or do you feel that we should?
Let's see. I mean,
Let's see where he's at
been
on the
diligent.
fence.
He's
Yeah.
actually, the photos, I'm stunned,
So-
because the backyard of that place was awful.
That's the one you brought in?
Yeah, yeah, so, I mean, look, give it to the workshop, and then I'll bring photos,
yeah.
you know, and we'll decide.
So,
You guys-
so I think on 69 North Road, you know, so we can checkpoint it on the 5th to make sure we're still making progress.
Roger that.
As long as we're making progress, I'm fine with it. But 9 Commercial, we haven't made progress
I
on
agree
the
with
last
you.
6, 8 months yet.
I agree.
So let's give so the other two, I want to see their plan
Yeah,
on the 5th, or else we decide whether or not we clean them up.
I am very satisfied that a
Okay.
contractor actually called me
Yeah.
about the Mariners site.
Yep.
That was a surprise to me, and I'm pleased to have it, you know, some movement moving forward. Okay, good. Thank you all.
Thanks.
It's not, hold on, it's privilege, you could ask your question, privilege the floor. This is for the board, give and take. Okay. There's privilege of the floor coming up where people can comment.
Oh, I know, but it was about cleanup.
Well, you
That's
just have to wait until the privilege.
He's not going anywhere.
Okay, I'm gonna move forward to new business, and we got a letter, and I forwarded it to
Yeah,
everybody
I saw it.
on. So there are issues down there. I mean, Lenny and I drove down there. I know the chief's been down there. It's, if you're familiar with it, you're probably familiar, it's kind of a one-lane road. It's a dead end at the end with a circle, and I think at night people are parking in that circle, doing whatever they do in the circle, with whether it's drugs or whatever it is. But, you know, and a couple people down there, especially this gentleman here, have really rehabilitated their house pretty nice. It's a nice, they've got some nice properties. So there are, I think, people think they can access the river from there, which they cannot do. So I think they drive back there, they have trailers with boats sometimes, they turn around. So he made some recommendations on here that I think we need to at least go look at and assess what we think is, you know, will help the situation. And I think, Richard, we need to go down there with you. Maybe we ride down there one day and look through it. And I know the chief, you said there probably could be some more signage there. But I think we should agree on, something has to be done. I just don't know if it's as, you know, as much as he wants, or if there's something in between.
And Dave, I hear you on it, and my heart goes out to anybody that's dealing with something like this. My mind didn't go there when you said doing drugs. I thought maybe it was just, you know, going down and parking and viewing the river. What I don't want to do is put signage and restrict, and then we're putting signage now on that road, and then we're putting it on
Yeah.
other road down Madison. Nobody can park
Yep.
anywhere and enjoy these sites.
We have a unique situation in this particular case. All right? There are no parking signs down at the end. If the people are parked there, and sometimes they park on the side of the road, you're lucky if you get a motorcycle by. So if there is an emergency, which at this particular address, there could very possibly be. So we need to take that into consideration.
There's just one house on that road, in the beginning of that road.
No, there's more.
No, it's about
there's
five or
a couple,
six
five or six
Oh,
houses
there
on
is.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
got-
yeah.
I
And
got
see,
it.
that's the, you know, and I don't want to, and I want to know what the other neighbors, because if we put no parking and they want to have a party,
Right,
now
right,
they
right.
can't park, you know.
Yeah, we should go down and we should meet with a couple of the neighbors, and we should look at and do a real assessment on it, other than just jump into, hey, we need a bunch of signs, or we don't need anything, right?
Right.
I don't want to go either extreme. I think there is something we have to do.
I agree with you on that.
Like, it's a one-lane road there. I don't think there's any speed limit signs, right?
There is none.
Which says your town speed limit's what, 30 if there's no sign? 35? So you go up that road 35, it's a problem. Okay, so I do
I
think
know
we,
the road, and
Yeah.
I have no problem putting like no outlet or dead end or anything like that on it. And I just, before we put a bunch of signs, I
yeah,
would
so I
like to
think
hear-
if we can take the assignment out of here for each of us to go look at that road and kind of come back with some suggestions, and Rich, if you could do the same again. I know you've been down there before.
No parking signs in there, there's no outlet sign there.
Okay. Well, let's get that, because I want to talk to some of the other neighbors, because this is one out of, you know, 6 or 7 houses there, so I would like to make sure we,
Lanny, can I just ask you a quick question? I remember back in the day, when I had a boat, Cena had the little boathouse there.
It's gone.
The house is gone.
It's gone.
I didn't know that.
It's gone.
All right. Because I just want to make sure that there wasn't anybody trying to access that property.
There is no access. Oh, there's only river access.
I remember we used to, right by there was access.
And that was in the old days, and then CSX actually put sort of a stoppage gate on that side of the riverside,
Right.
because people were driving down to take stuff to their boat and what may have you. So they stopped that. But that building's gone.
yeah, it's probably worth a trip down now, Joe.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to, I feel like it was just.
So I think we just said, and you're right, there are some signs there, but go ahead.
In fact, that property was just turned over to the town. Is that
I can't hear him.
We can't hear you.
I can't hear you, Rich.
says that property was just turned over to the town?
What, Willow Dock Road?
Yes, that
Nope.
piece.
No,
Yes, that was belonged to, yes.
no.
Right, John?
Brooks donated some, I don't know exactly.
That's at the end of the cul-de-sac. All right, he's talking about river access property. We own 300 feet north of the park, the town does. And then it becomes Dr. Fruckner, who just passed away. He owns the next 299 feet. He just passed away, so that's all in the estate or whatever. Yeah. Yes.
Peter Fran Brooks donated some of Willow Dock Road, which was, I think, is on the
Yeah,
Back end.
I
Yes,
thought it was on the other side
exactly.
of the water plant, sewer plant.
Right, on the west side, that's correct.
I'm not sure exactly where.
No, that's it. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so I think the assignment here is, let's just go look at it, do the real assessment, talk to all the neighbors there, get all their input, and come back by the next regular meeting, which is 2 weeks from tonight. Okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we'll move to privilege of the floor. Sure. Yeah, up here, just state your name and address so we know where everybody's from.
Hi, everyone. Joe, Michael, Lenny, Dave, I spoke to you last week, Sean, and everyone else.
Is that on?
My name's Daniel
Is
Beers.
that on?
My name's Daniel Beers. I have a property up here that I rent, 57 North Road. I bought it from Arthur Oberheim in 2014. There was no water issues besides Hurricane Katrina before the bridge was fixed up there. During the last hurricane, the water was shooting out of the sewer grate into the air and then running down my driveway into my tenant's basement. There was like 3 feet of water that was pumped out of the basement by the fire department the night of September 1st, 2021, into the 2nd overnight. I met with Mr. Klotz on the 2nd of September. He told me, give me a week or two. He came up with a little plan of regrading part of the road and diverting the water from coming out of the sewer grate down the driveway and diverting it into the grass off to the side. So, okay, a couple weeks, we just had a storm. I called him a few more times in the fall. Every time it was, I'll be there this week, I'll be there this week. He never came. Then, over the winter, when I called, he said, okay, well, the asphalt plant is closed. I will be there as soon as it opens. In the spring, I called again. It wasn't open yet. As soon as it opened, he said, okay, it's opening next week. I'll be there then. You're the first one on my schedule, or close to it. And now it is September again. I called him at least once a month all summer. Every single time I got the same reply that I'm going to be there this week. He never came. I spoke with you, Dave, last week. He said he was going to be there yesterday. You did not come. You've had a year. It's been over 1 year, huh? Okay, anyways. So we just had the rain. It happened again the other day. The water came out on Monday night into Tuesday when we had the 3-4 inches of rain and all.
So,
Okay, well,
can we,
it's-
can you just?
Yeah, let's
tell us-
finish
let-
first.
Okay, so
Thanks.
it was, you agreed to come and regrade the road, so whatever's coming out of that will go a different direction than down the driveway into the basement of the house.
Can I just interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes.
So you bought the house, and I have a property on North Road, so I'm familiar with the road. It never flooded when you
The
first bought
only
it?
time was from the creek during Hurricane Katrina.
Okay.
The creek's
then-
on the side.
And then
of the
what happened that you believe caused it to start flooding?
I'm not sure, but there is a pipe that comes out from the side into where the creek is, and during the hurricane last year, I was there at night when the firefighters were there, and I mean, I could pee harder than the water
So
coming out of a
the
pipe.
road wasn't redone, nothing happened, it just, all of a sudden now it's just starting to flood?
It just happened the one time last year, and then this week again.
Is it a sanitary sewer or is it a stormwater sewer?
Stormwater, right?
I don't know.
It's sanitary or stormwater? So it,
I can't hear him.
Sanitary.
Pardon?
Sanitary sewer. Okay, so I think, I know yesterday it rained, and I think you went out there, I think you said you're going Friday to put that swell in. So that's what he's talking about
So- so
before,
Rich-
swell on North Road. But
what do you believe, because if it never did it before except for Katrina, what's happening that's causing it to do that now?
I don't know. It could be just groundwater. You know, it wasn't, you know, when it rains, I mean, I know it's low around his house.
It's not coming from the ground around the house. We were there with the fire departments running right down the driveway into the house. I have videos of it from that night.
Okay.
Okay, so you're gonna go there Friday. I'm just trying to figure out what you're gonna do Friday.
Go in front of your flower bed.
Right.
I'm gonna cut a swale to the creek.
Right, and you were gonna put some blacktop there. Okay.
And you don't think it's a clog or something that's causing it to back up?
Well, I'm gonna ask
I mean,
Adam to
that's-
look
I
at
mean,
that
that-
piece, yeah.
Because, Dave, because,
Yeah, we should look at that pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
because I'm
we'll
thinking,
get Adam to look at
like,
that.
if it never did it before, now all of a sudden it's happening. It's not like, Rick, you did something to the road and now it's an issue.
Right.
I think there may be something else going on.
Right, so we'll get Adam to look at the sewer piece. In the meantime, he'll build that swell that will help divert it if it happens again between now and when we can figure out what's causing it.
Have you had water in your basement prior to this?
I have not since I owned it until last year. And I did buy
Is
a
Adam
commercial
still here?
dehumidifier
Huh? Is
and
Adam
a
still
sump
here?
pump, which
can't
is
hear. Is
pumped
Adam
into
still
the
here?
yard. And
No, he's good.
I'd like, I
I'll
mean,
get
it's
with
been a
him.
full year, and I'd like to ask the town to pay for the dehumidifier, the sump pump. I have the receipts, it's $724, and I'd like to have someone come assess for mold, just because it was not taken care of timely. It's been over 12 months, and I have called diligently. I've even had my tenant call, and I've gotten the same response that I will be there this week all summer.
Well,
So then- so then
we've
you're
covered
saying
that already.
the water's running constantly then. I mean, if you got mold, I mean, that'll happen over a period of time. Or you just,
I don't really go down there. I don't live
I'm
there.
gonna be honest with you, and listen, I hear you, and I really do hear you, but I think before we're gonna say we're gonna pay for your sump pump, assess for mold, let's first find out what's going on, and is it something that's negligent on our part? Is it a bad pipe? Is there an issue with it? So let's get Adam down there and find out what's going on. Rich is gonna do the
That's not a
swell.
problem.
The only concern I have about the swell, Rich, is if there's something with the pipe, Dave, and you know the pipe better than I do, if you put this swell in, are we gonna have to rip it back up because the sewer pipes are, Dave, right, we've talked about it, when Falcon Ridge and everybody else wanted to expand, and then there's this other guy wants to put apartments, the sewer pipes are not that good on that street.
That's true. That's why I think Adam should have a hard look at whatever issues in front of the Bishop's.
I think that's what makes such a 90 there.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe that's part of the bottleneck we've been talking about, Dave.
Right, right.
I agree. Right now, the stopgap will be the swale to divert,
Right.
but somebody needs to take a hard look.
Yeah, let's get it diverted. It sounds like he's gonna do that Friday. I will talk to Adam and get him out there to find out what the root cause is, because I wanna fix the root cause. I mean, that's
Yeah, we don't
where I'm
want
at.
sewer coming out of it.
Right, right. We don't want it coming out
So
regardless,
I think let's,
even if it's going in his basement or not. I don't want it coming out there, so.
Right, but, I mean, we're in hurricane season. If this happens between now and the time it's fixed, because
Yeah, normally hurricane season, though, normally it's more storm water. This sounds like it's more,
it doesn't sound
Not-
like storm, that's what I'm concerned
Yeah.
about. It doesn't sound like it's storm.
I'm right across from Pabero.
Yeah.
It's a little white cottage right there. It's going right into the basement.
We'll check it.
Yeah.
okay. We will have our water sewer operator on it tomorrow, and Rich will do the swell Friday.
And before you leave, thank you for your service.
My pleasure, thank you.
And then please come back to our next workshop. If it's not fixed, let us know.
Okay, we'll do.
Well,
thank you.
he knows, he calls us now. So, I got it. Okay. Anybody else for privilege of the floor?
Yes, absolutely.
Hi, I have a few issues. The first one is the debris that's under the,
Can you get your name and address first?
oh, Vicky Jackson, 11 Milton Avenue, Highland. There, you know the little, bridge by my building, 11 Milton Avenue?
Oh,
Does
the creek
everybody know?
the creek
I'm not
goes
sure
out
if
Right,
I
we're-
know where.
where the M&T Bank is.
Right, okay. Well, there's debris on the other side where M&T Bank is. And my tenant has called the town, and he's called the highway department, and I think he's even talked to the state. And in the meantime, they've cleaned it up a little bit, but they keep pushing the buck back and forth.
It's in the
So-
creek itself?
Yes, and it's still there, and like he said, it's hurricane season coming again. And I just fixed the front of my building. I don't want the water backing up.
Hey, Richie, whose responsibility is it? Is it the state? It's the state.
No, it's not the state, because the state
Oh.
says it's the town's responsibility because they got some kind of a pipe coming out, and the state doesn't want to do it, and you have to do it. That's what that's what the state said. In the meantime, the shit's still there, and I want it out of there just in case we get another hurricane.
You have to speak in the microphone, or the people
You
in
can all
TV
hear
land
me.
can't hear you.
Don't curse in the microphone.
Oh, okay. You all heard me. Get it out of there, okay? And it's not the state. It's the state should be doing it, but the fact that you guys got a pipe coming out, and that's the
Well,
plumbing people.
I don't know what we have coming out.
Dave, the plumbing people,
Yeah,
there's a pipe coming out, and
No,
that's why the
plumbing would be,
state
plumbing
won't
would
do
be,
it.
plumbing would be,
It's a
not Dave.
sewage pipe,
No, it can't be
That's
going
Adam.
into a creek.
okay.
not going into, we don't dump
Drainage pipe.
sewage into a creek.
It's a pipe,
Absolutely
and
not.
that's why the state won't do it, and
Richard,
The town
are you
has to
guys
do
from,
it.
I know what she's talking about. I know the property.
yeah, it's on the other, it's on the
But-
opposite side of the street.
Maybe it's coming from Joey's property.
Yeah, right.
Coming from my property. My property. I'm like,
Somebody, pick you up a wall there.
You got it.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, please,
Okay.
because it's
right.
gonna rain and it's gonna be a
Okay.
problem.
All
Well,
right.
the real problem is that, Rich, is if it's us, then it's easy. I mean, we can do it, but if it's not us, then it's the state.
Well, there's debris there and it needs to go. And, no, it's not under my building, it's across the
Across the
street.
street, Rich.
It's on the M&T side,
On the M&T
Yeah,
side.
it's on M&T side.
not behind that ugly wall.
It's on the M&T side. I know what you're talking about, so
I mean,
we'll go take a look at it
really,
tomorrow.
you know, I'm
right.
just worried about it
Absolutely.
because it might back up.
All right,
All right.
And it really needs to be,
All right.
Listen, I need
here
you
we
to,
go.
and I don't
Good
have
luck.
flood insurance, so I need you guys.
we'll go look at it. We will go, we'll
Okay,
send
thank
people.
you.
to look.
That's, he's writing it down on his list.
Okay,
As a
good.
matter of fact, he's going to go in the office and put it on his whiteboard.
Okay, yes, because you need to do, well, the water was really low, and that's when we really started complaining about it.
Okay.
But now the water's coming up, so.
All right.
All
Okay.
right, so
Got
then,
the point.
okay, my other issue is the holes in the parking lot, like the municipal parking lot. Now, I own a right-of-way and Verizon owns a right-of-way.
Oh.
You talking about
Now-
the Biancardi lot, or which lot you talking
That
about?
Bancardi parking lot.
Right. Now, problem is that there is one hole on the property that I own, and all the other holes are on Verizon's property. And I have no idea how to get in touch with anybody, and I really can't afford to blacktop that whole thing. And being that the
Well, if it's on, but
town,
hold on a minute. If it's in Verizon's property, what do we have, do we have access to?
because the town uses
We've
the
got to have
parking
a
lot.
right-of-way or something.
Oh, we have a right-of-way through it, okay.
Right,
So are
you
we-
have a right-of-way.
So wait a minute, are we, Rich, I'm sorry if you don't know the answer. So the parking lot's a village parking lot, we have a right-of-way through? Right.
Yeah, we have
So
a right-of-way
Do
through.
we, are we responsible for the? No, right?
Probably not, but how about,
You'd
what-
have to check. I'm assuming we do have a right-of-way because it's from Milton to Biancardi
there's
parking lot.
no other way to get there.
Right, so I'm assuming the town does have a parking lot. As far as, you have to check if there's a maintenance agreement, which I doubt there is. If you have a right-of-way across Verizon's property, you have a right to use that property for its intended purpose, which presumably would be to get the Biancardi
Cross,
parking lot.
right.
You can maintain it for that purpose, but you're under no obligation to do it. But Verizon, they're under no obligation to keep it maintained for the town's purposes either.
Right.
So I think you'd have to have a discussion with Verizon and say,
Right.
gee,
We've been plowing that road, to the driveway.
I just plowed back, straight back to the parking lot, because I got, first year I was in, I think, Verizon got nasty with us, because people up by her store were ripping down their no parking signs, because that's supposed to be no parking all through there.
Right.
Verizon don't want anybody parking on their property due to the fact of liabilities. So people would rip down, and I'd plow it, and then they came after me for plowing.
Well, if there's a right-of-way agreement, and we're familiar with this from the other parking lot, right? If there's a right-of-way agreement, there should be either a maintenance agreement, or it should say who maintains it.
well, you'd have to check, because if
Right.
there is a right-of-way, it wouldn't have to be a necessary agreement. It could just be a filed right-of-way that you have a right for ingress and egress.
Okay.
So it may be silent as to maintenance.
Right. Because
Well, the thing is, somebody's gonna, yeah, well, actually Verizon patched it last summer because they were paving
Oh, that's
their
good.
lot, and we asked them nicely to come over and fill in the holes, but
They
it
didn't do
only
a very good
lasted a
job.
year. Well, no, it only lasted a short time. We filled the holes in before, too. It doesn't last, it needs to be done properly.
Okay.
So, and you guys have that
okay,
nice
well-
big plow with all that, you
Okay.
know, that asphalt, and you guys could do a really nice
Okay,
job.
we understand the problem. Let us research and find out if there's a maintenance agreement.
there's a
I don't-
maintenance
I don't want to
agreement.
keep beating a dead horse here. We know what the
Okay.
All right.
problem is.
And we'll come
We have
look
to
at
go
the
figure it
creek.
out.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I have one more item.
Okay?
Um, Well, I have two more, but I'm just going to do one more. The other one is that ugly wall in front of my building. Originally, when that was, when that all happened and I got flooded, the agreement was to make a guardrail, just like across the street. And they did not have the clean finish for the guardrail after a whole year, and they decided to put up
State
this
problem.
ugly, disgusting wall. So I would like to paint on the wall.
We have no jurisdiction over what the state did.
Okay.
That's a state wall.
So do you have a problem with me trying to get money up to paint it?
I would suggest the town has no opinion.
Okay,
She should contact the state.
okay, well, the state said I could do
Anytime
whatever
you
I
want to
wanted.
paint, we've learned on state walls, anytime you want to paint a state wall, you have to get a permit from the state.
Okay.
And
Right.
there's your go-between, right there.
Right, that's what we did last
I know, I
time.
gotta get suited.
No, that's what happened on a mural. We had to get a permit, and they gave us approval to paint that mural on that wall, which is their wall. So
For the state?
that's the
From-
process,
from the
from the
state?
state. Absolutely.
Okay, all
It's the
right.
state.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Well, at least we made you happy on one account.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're gonna make me happy in the parking lot.
All right. Thank you.
Somebody's gonna get hurt.
Okay, anybody else privileged to the floor?
Wow.
Okay, we're going to move on then to motions and resolutions. First motion is approve the town regular board meetings from August 17th.
Motion.
2020. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Resolution B is to authorize the supervisor to sign the school resource officer agreement between the town and the school district effective September 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2022.
Motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried 4-0. Resolution C, this is to the 12-hour schedule MOA that we did back in July, has expired or will expire on the 16th of September. So what we're going to do is extend it through the end of the year. So this resolution is to extend the MOA for the 12-hour schedule that was put in place July 1st until December 31st, 2022. So be it resolved, the town board, upon recommendation of the town supervisor, hereby agrees to extend the pilot MOA without any changes to the terms except for the dates from September 17th to December 31st, 2022. Can I get a
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Chief, I just want to ask you, because now this has been, how's this working out for you?
It's cut back on the overtime and the open shifts.
Okay.
By a half or 3/4.
So you're very pleased the way it's going? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay, any other discussion? Anything, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 0, okay, 4-0. Okay, we'll move forward to resolution number D, the resignation of Tanisha Gooden as part-time dispatcher, effective September 2nd, at the recommendation of Chief James Janso.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then resolution, we just heard from Adam, resolution to accept the resignation of Ruth Sicardo, wastewater treatment plant operator, effective September 3rd, 2022.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, resolution F is to amend the working hours of the Town Lloyd Highway Department from the current spring-summer schedule of 6 o'clock to 2:30 to the fall-winter hours of 7 o'clock to 3:30, effective September 5th, at the recommendation of Highway Superintendent Rich Klotz.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, resolution G, this is one we actually missed at our last meeting when we went through all the water tank bond stuff. So this is the bond I talked about. We're putting in for grants for the
Right.
water tank. We expect right now to be, we know we're putting in 2 grants just to get the board up to date. One is the WIAA grant that goes in this Friday, and the other grant is a $500,000 grant from Ulster County ARPA, okay, which we've already been approved from a pre-application, and I just put the final application in, so we will know on that in October. So we expect to get grants to cover this, but many times you need to bond it up front in case you need to pay the bills until you get the grant money back. So this bond is for $2.5 million, and the bond resolution of town adopted September 7th, which is today, for $2.525 million for the increase in improvement facilities of Highland Water District. It's a water tank. So we went through this. We had the public hearing last
Right.
month. We closed it. So I'm going to go to the end. of this
Motion.
thing. Well, hold on. I'm going to go to the end of it. So I want to know, so we want to adopt that foregoing resolution, which you could read above, to put the bond in place for the $2.5 million for the water tank, which we expect to pay off in grants. So can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? You want to do a roll call, Andy?
Sure.
Yes.
Aktenbudi?
Yes.
Guerrero? Mazzetti?
Yes.
Okay, Frano's absence. Okay, thank you. Okay, so motion is adopted. Okay, the resolution H, this is for the streetscape project. So this is the cost from Barton La Judas and including the improvements for Central Hudson Gas and Electric, and it's the second supplement to the streetscape, taking the total cost from $163,900 to $182,800. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
I'll second it. Discussion?
Yeah,
I
sure.
think Mazzetti ought to know that the sidewalk on Commercial Avenue Extension is not going to be included in this.
Yeah, that's right. We
Because he wasn't here. I just
Okay.
figured.
Well, that
when
was
he votes
today,
on
but-
it, he should know.
Yeah, we had talked about that at a previous meeting, de-scoping that part of it.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So I think he was aware from that meeting, Mike, but good point.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, the next resolution, I, this is Hudson 7, and from our town, myself, Neil Curry, Russ Gilbert, and Adam have been involved with Hudson 7, and we kind of take turns attending some of their sessions, because they do have a lot of them. They have formed their organization, and this has been 3 years in. And again, it's about maintaining and enhancing the water quality across the 7 towns who use the Hudson River. And what this memorandum of agreement was entered into 31st day of May 2018 between the 7 municipalities to form the Hudson River Drinking Water Council. We are a voting member. Riverkeeper has been providing an interim coordination, and now they're ready to, I think they call it incorporate, as Hudson 7 being the actual keeper of this. So they've got $25,000 from each of the counties, and the 7 towns have agreed to pay anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000. Our cost was $2,500, which we have budgeted for because we knew this was coming. So the motion is for us to approve the MOA and, pay the $2,500 for the next 3 years, along with the commitments of the counties and other Hudson 7 municipalities, and approve the revised intermunicipal agreement as presented. Phase 1 will include the revising of the IMA to add the Dutchess County as a voting member, and Ulster County did not want to be a voting member. I don't know why, but they chose not to be, even though they're supporting it. And add language to Dutchess County to appropriate money to H7 for the legal consultant.
And DC is Dutchess County contributing
Yes,
$19,999.
yes, to hire the legal consultant who will further advise. So phase 3 includes 1 legal consultant, has revised and opined, and the new bylaws are being drafted, so monies can be transferred to H7.
Dave, and Ulster County didn't get involved in it at all?
Ulster County's paying their $25,000.
Okay.
But they just didn't, for some reason, Joe, they didn't want to be a voting member, and I don't know why that was. So can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Resolution J to move Heather Bloom to a senior clerk at a base rate of $21.50.
Motion.
Effective night.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I'd just like to say, thank you for your service. I think she's been here a long time.
Yes, yes.
About how many years?
I don't know how
I've been here
I don't
12.
know how many years it is.
She's been here way before that.
Been a while.
15?
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, well deserved, well
15.
deserved.
Okay, Resolution K, this is authorizing me to sign, to apply for the grant from the New York State Environmental Facilities. And this is part of, if you remember back in June, we hired Millennial Strategies.
Yeah.
This is a grant they're submitting for us.
Beautiful.
So they're doing all the administrative piece of it. So we're going to the total anticipated costs, and this is from the preliminary engineering from Bernier and Larios, is $8.8 million. The town of Lloyd's requesting a $5 million grant through the EFC and the drinking water program with a committed 40% grant match. Now, if we don't get the grant, obviously, we don't put anything towards it. So this is setting us up if we get it. And whereas the town board acting as lead agency has given due consideration to the impact of the project and what it may have on the environment, is determined such projects constitute a type 2 action pursuant to the seeker constituting Article 8 of Environmental Conservation Law, and therefore no further environmental review is required. So therefore, be it resolved, Town of Lloyd's Board does hereby authorize the town supervisor to submit an application to the EFC through the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant program to fund restorative work to be done at town's water filtration plant and to execute any formal agreements and associated documents with the EFC as part of the funding agreement. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, did Dave Barton leave, or is he still here?
What's that?
Dave Barton still here, or?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay, we have Resolution L, which is also a grant going into the EFC, and this is for the water tank, which we've already awarded the bid on.
Yes.
We haven't started construction yet. Whereas the EFC is soliciting applications through the WIA for clean drinking water, Town of Lloyd has identified need to replace its existing water storage tank for the Highland Water District, and its anticipated cost of $2.6 million. Whereas the town is requesting $1.587 in grant funding through the EFC and the WIA program, with a committed 40% grant match of $1.05 million, consisting of $438 from the town budget water reserve funds and $500,000 from the federal American Rescue Act funds, and we've already spent $120,000 previously on engineering costs. So again, whereas the town board has found this a type 2 action, and, you know, pursuant to seeker, and no further environmental reviews required. So therefore, be it resolved, the Town of Lloyd Board does hereby authorize the town supervisor to submit the application to the EFC under the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act for replacement of the water storage tank and execute any formal agreements, associated documents with EFC as part of the funding agreement. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and motion M is to close 75 Haviland Road parking lot for the following events and dates. Walktoberfest on October 1st and 2nd, which is joint between the walkway and the Hudson Valley Rail Trail. Saturday, October 1st dawn through Sunday, October 2nd dusk for the Alzheimer's Walk, and Friday, October 14th at dusk through Sunday, October 15th at dusk, at the request of Peter Belize, Hudson Valley Rail Trail Association.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Can we go into executive session for a second?
What's the-
Attorney-client privilege.
Yeah, so,
I want to discuss something with you, though. How do
Okay,
we-
yeah, so it's an attorney-client conference?
Yeah.
Okay.
but I need a motion to adjourn to executive session.
Motion.
Second.
But you're not going into executive session, right? It's not going to come out with the resolution.
We're not going to executive
So
session.
we're going to adjourn the meeting, and then you guys are going to do an
Okay.
attorney-client
Okay.
session.
That's fine.
So a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
You're adjourned.
Hey, Charlie.
Mic's off.
Yes. Yes.
Give me a minute, I'll be right back.
You're on the hot seat tonight, huh?
No, he wasn't.
You're
I'm sorry, Charlie.